Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zollotech, and today Apple released iOS 17 to the public. iOS 17 releases on iPhone XR, XS, and later. Unfortunately, the iPhone 8, 8 Plus, and iPhone X will not support iOS 17. However, if you are installing iOS 17, the overall size is anywhere from about 1 to 6 gigabytes or so. And there's a ton to talk about in this update, over 210 new changes and features, so if you want to see any specific part that you're interested in, be sure to check out the chapters in the description. Now let's go ahead and talk about what's new. Once you've installed iOS 17, there's a lot of different changes, but it's going to look very familiar. The first one has to do with sound and haptics. If you go into your settings, go to Sound and Haptics, at the top you'll see an option for haptics where we have always play, play in silent mode, don't play in silent mode, or never play. Some of the haptics or the vibration of the phone have changed as well. There's also a bunch of new ringtones finally. So if we go into ringtone, you'll see we have reflection, which is the default from before, but they've redone it a little bit so it sounds a little different and added a bunch of new ones as well. So take a listen. Here's breaking, chalet, departure, and many more. So if we scroll down, you'll see we have classic, which is where we have all of our old ones. So if we want to use the old ringtones and none of the new ones, they're available here. However, if you have custom ringtones, it seems like it deletes many of those, so just be aware of that. If we go back, there's a bunch of new text tones as well. So again, we have note, which is default. It's very similar to what we had before. But we also have a bunch of new ones, such as chord, droplet, handoff, portal. So some of these are familiar, some are not. And again, if you scroll to the bottom, under classic, you have a bunch of the ones we've had before if you want to continue using those. Now there's a new feature that's really nice if you want to transfer your contact information. Apple calls this NameDrop. Simply bring two phones together and bring them at the top together, and it will transfer over your contact information. Give it a second, you'll see a new animation. There will be a sound if you're not silenced, and then it transfers over that information. After you've used NameDrop, tap the contact at the top, and you have a new contact poster. We'll talk about this in just a moment, but also we can use the same method to AirDrop different files. So if we go into maybe our photos, I have this one from today, we'll AirDrop it. Again, if we bring them close together, we'll just AirDrop like this, and you'll see it transfer over to the other phone. So it shows up here and works as expected. Now, if you don't want this to work that way, you can actually disable this under your settings. So under settings, go to General, go to AirDrop, and under AirDrop, disable bringing devices together. That will turn off that feature if you don't want that to happen. Also, in a future version of iOS, you'll be able to use AirDrop to actually transfer a file and then walk away from another person as it's transferring, and it will continue over the internet. That's not ready at the time of the launch of iOS 17, but should be coming later on. Now that contact poster I showed you earlier, if we go into phone, you'll see this is called a contact poster. This is fully customizable and something you can change throughout the OS now on all of your different contacts. So if you want to have a specific look for someone, you can do that. Go up to Edit in the upper right, and then tap Edit on the poster itself, and then you can add it just like you're updating your lock screen or a wallpaper. So you'll see you have your name here. There's a photo of myself, or we could create a new one if we want to altogether. Tap on Create New, and we have the option to add a photo, use the camera, use an emoji, or a monogram. If we go into emoji, we could select anything we want. There we go. We've added this one. Select any pose you want. We'll hit Next, and it just adds it over the top of my name. Again, you can fully customize any aspect of this. So if I want the background to be blue or change it altogether, I can do that. Then again, we have some other options with depth effects and much more. So this is fully customizable however you'd like for every single contact, and it just adds a nice little update if you want to change that for your different contacts. Again, hit continue as we go through this, and now I have a new contact poster for this particular contact. So that's really nice. They've added that, and they've also added some nice features within the phone app itself. In particular, if you're using phone and you have a bunch of recents and you want to go back through those, Apple has increased the phone call log from about 100 to over 350 or so. So now you can see many more of your contacts where you couldn't before. Also, if someone is calling you, they've updated this as well. Now I've placed a phone call to myself. It's ringing into my phone. If I tap on the phone call, I now have a new button to send them directly to voicemail. Of course, we can message them like before, and it just looks a little different. If I send them to voicemail, we now have a new feature called live transcription or live voicemail. It will transcribe what I'm saying in real time. So right now it's actually reading a message to my phone that I'm placing the call from, and now it's transcribing in real time what I'm actually saying. It vibrates on your phone to let you know that it started, and if I want to pick this up, maybe it's something I'm waiting for, I can pick it up in the middle of the phone call, and that's it. So then I can use it like normal and continue to speak to that person. So that's a really nice feature. It works from iOS, Android, and more. So if they're calling from an Android phone, it will still transcribe that in real time as well. Also, if someone is placing a call and maybe you have a focus mode such as Do Not Disturb turned on, it can go directly into voicemail. And also the same is true if you have Silence Unknown Callers enabled within your settings under Phone. If you have Silence Unknown Callers enabled, this will actually send them directly to voicemail. So that will work for not just phone now, but also with FaceTime as well. If we go back into Contacts, or the contacts under our phone app, they really should be the same app at this point. Back within a contact poster, if we tap on Edit and scroll down, Apple has added a new section for pronouns if you want to choose to use those. Now there's a new feature called Standby. This allows you to use your phone when it's charging and in landscape. Whether it's on a dock or placed in landscape, it gives you relevant information that's super helpful. First, there's some options for this though. If we go into Settings and scroll down, you'll see you have an all new section labeled Standby. Within Standby, you can disable this if you want to. If you have an always-on display with an iPhone 14 Pro or 14 Pro Max or a new iPhone 15 Pro or 15 Pro Max, it will stay on all the time or intelligently turn off. And also we have some options for night mode, where Standby presents a red tint with a low ambient lighting in night mode, or we have motion to wake, where it will turn on the display when motion is detected at night. Additionally, we have the option to disable notifications and show preview on tap only. So let me show you what this looks like. Now I have a dock here. This is actually an Anchor dock with MagSafe. We'll just turn it sideways and then go ahead and lock it, and it will go into standby mode in just a moment. We'll give it a moment, and there you'll see we have standby. So now we have just a clock on here, and this is fully customizable. You can swipe left to right and up and down. If we swipe up, you'll see that we have a different style clock. Swipe up again, we have a world clock. Again, a gradient clock, and then sort of a different overlay clock. If we press and hold, we have some different options. We can go through that way, so we can just swipe through and see all of them, tap the little button in the right, and we can customize the color. So this works on any of these screens, but if we want to change the color on any of these, we have the option for customization. Again, if we tap Done, we'll swipe to the right, and we have some photos. So it will show some of your photo albums if you want, and swipe up and down for different ones, whether that be family and others. Again, swipe to the right, and now we have widgets with information. So I have the weather, and again, if I press and hold, now I can customize those. We can have it go through Smart Rotate. We have widget suggestions. We have the calendar, events, and much more. And then maybe I just want the weather that we had before. You can pick your location just like any other widget. Additionally, you can add a widget from anything else that you'd like. So pick something from one of your apps and add one there, or just tap Done. The same is true on the other side with the clock. Swipe through whatever you'd like, whether you want stocks or the date or something else, press and hold. And additionally, you can add additional apps that might support this in the future, like this one, Lumi. So you can see that here. So really nice, really simple update, but it's great if you have a dock, or maybe you have it just propped up against something at night, charging, it can be plugged in, or just sideways. If you have an always-on display though, you'll benefit more from that. It also has an interface for Siri. Siri, what's the weather today? It will give us the information there on our screen, and then also open the weather app. Additionally, if we lock this again and go back into standby mode, if we receive a call, we have a new interface for that. I've placed a call to myself, and you can see there's an all new interface for that as well. There's also a night mode interface, and live activities work with it as well. Maybe you have an Uber delivery coming up, or maybe you're waiting for someone, you're tracking a flight. It will show here also if you're running that. The home screen on iOS 17 looks pretty familiar. However, if we swipe over, you'll see we have some new widgets. Widgets this time around are interactive. So you can see these are some of Apple's widgets with music, home, we have contacts, a reading list from Safari, podcasts, and there's even more. Third-party developers can update these as well in the future, but if we want to play a song, we can simply just press play. You'll see it popped up in the dynamic island, and then we can pause the song. There's not a ton of controls here, but it's really nice that you can quickly go into that. The same works for texting someone, turning on a light, turning it back off, or just maybe listening to a podcast. So this is something that's really nice, and maybe we want to move these around. So we'll move it around. If we 3-finger tap, we can actually go back to where we were or shake it, and it will actually undo the move of the widget. So this is a nice new gesture that we've had throughout the OS, but works with widgets now as well. So hopefully we'll see many more of these in the future with third-party apps as well. This year they've updated the lock screen with some nice refinements. If we lock the screen and then unlock it, you'll see that it brings the text forward, has a nice subtle animation, and if we go to customize it, they've updated this more. So again, press and hold, and then if we go to customize the current one that we have, we can swipe between styles like we could before, but also if we tap on the time itself, we can adjust the font and color with a slider. So now we can adjust the overall size with a slider. The same is true with color. And if we want to get back to what was default, double tap and it brings it back to the default size. Again, double tap and it snaps back. So that's a small update there. We have different languages here with the little globe. And additionally, we have some new widgets as well. So there's some small changes to the overall style, some additional widgets with things such as reminders. So nice little additions that some people will find very useful. Additionally, there's some updated wallpaper. So if we want to maybe cancel this one, we'll go over and add a new one. At the top, you'll see we have options for things such as photo shuffle, live wallpaper, emoji, weather, astronomy, and color. If maybe we want to add a live photo, tap on that. This is one I just took of a live photo of these iPhones here. We'll give it a moment and we can make it a live photo. It will animate when you unlock the phone. So we can add widgets to that, but if we add this as our wallpaper, we'll just set it quickly so I can show you. Tap done. Then we've got that set. If we lock the phone, then unlock, it animates. So you could have this as any live wallpaper you'd like. So it's a really nice update there. Additionally, if we go in to add new, if we scroll down, you'll see that we have sections that are organized differently. We have kaleidoscope wallpaper, emoji, unity, collection, color, and everything else that we expect. We've got the default iOS 17 wallpaper as well. So lots of different changes here. They've also updated things such as the astronomy wallpaper. So we have a bunch of different ones here with additional moon phases, all the different planets, and much, much more. Also, if you set a portrait photo, there's a new filter for this as well. So if I have a portrait of myself, you'll see it seamlessly blends into the background, and we can swipe between styles to change that overall. So if we want to do that, we can. It's simple and quick to just switch between whatever you'd like. And if I'm setting another photo, if I pinch this and maybe pull down, it will actually fade to a white gradient at the top just to sort of blend everything together. This allows you to use maybe a photo that doesn't fit properly, and it will just blend to whatever color looks proper. So that part's really nice. We also have some new changes as far as photo shuffle, where there's depth effects. So with photo shuffle here, if I tap on this option, of course we can shuffle categories, but we also have some options for depth effect. We can have it shuffle daily, hourly, on lock, or on tap. So on lock, if we hit add here, again, we'll get it to save. It'll take just a moment as it has to process all those photos and put them in the background. And then every time we lock and unlock our phone, it will actually change the wallpaper. It fades in and out. Some really nice features with this update. If we put in the wrong lock screen password over and over to the point where it says iPhone unavailable in 1 minute, you can tap on forgot passcode now and then go to reset it. It allows you a chance to reset your passcode if you completely forgot it. Music gets some updates as well. One thing in particular they've updated is the album art. It's now full screen if it has motion. An artist can choose to do this or not, but it'll be full screen in many different artists such as maybe NF or Taylor Swift. You'll see if we go to the latest album here, you'll see the same sort of thing. So we have a full screen lock screen wallpaper that's animated and more. If we go back into our music and tap on the 3-dot menu, you'll see that we now have a new option for view credits. Credits is credit for the overall artist, where you can view lyrics, the performing artist, the composition and lyrics, and then below production and engineering, and also the quality that it's available in. Additionally, you can see on the bottom, we have sort of a floating bar at the bottom. So if I turn on light mode here, you can see this a little bit better where it sort of floats or hovers over anything that you're in. So if you go to listen now, whatever you were playing last or currently playing stays right there. One major update with music is a new option for crossfade. If I turn on dark mode again, go down to music. Under music, you'll see if we scroll down, we now have crossfade. You can adjust it from 1 to 12 seconds. I tend to find about 6 seconds is good, and crossfade allows it just to fade from one song to the next. This is something we've wanted for a very long time, and it's finally here. Additionally, we can optimize our storage under music. Within the settings, we have some new options. So if we want it to optimize storage, we can give an allotted amount of size to store our songs. And it gives you an idea. At 12 gigabytes, you can store about 25,600 songs. You can turn it off or just set a limit. Within music, if we press and hold on a song, we get the same menu we did before, but with the overall song at the top and then credits below it. Small little change there. And also if we create a station, let me turn down the volume here. Tap on Create Station. We have a new little pop-up that shows up once the station is created that tells us that it's been created, and we're good to go as far as that goes. If we want to AirPlay this to something else, maybe a HomePod or something else nearby, we'll go to Office Desk here, give it just a moment. You'll see that we had a new animation there. We'll turn that down, and if we go home and go into our control center, you'll see that our AirPlay icon changes to a HomePod. We should also get the same thing when we're on our lock screen. So if we slide up, we've got a little HomePod there, lets us know we're playing to that. So some nice redesigned UI elements where we have sliders and things for not only the playback, but also the volume as well. If I pause this, you'll see that this is actually a playful volume bar now too as well, where it has inertia. The same is true in the control center. So we have inertia on these buttons as well. And then of course, our little option here where it shows what we're AirPlaying to. So some nice changes all throughout. Hotels in the future will also support AirPlay where it's encrypted end-to-end and plays maybe on an AirPlay connected device. So that's something that you may see in select hotels. Additionally, if you're playing a song and maybe you go to lyrics and you're using Apple Music Sing, this will now work along with your Apple TV if you have tvOS 17. You can actually use continuity camera at the same time to project yourself onto the TV and sing along to your favorite song that way. There's additional features coming later on with maybe iOS 17.1 or later this year, where you can collaborate with friends on different playlists and have a playlist that you can just change back and forth based on what you want to listen to. There'll also be a playlist for your favorite songs as well. Additionally, if you use Shazam to identify a song, they've updated this. So if we scroll down in the control center, tap on Shazam, you'll see an all new interface at the top. And if I press play, once the song comes in, it's animated differently and shows it at the top. If we tap on the dynamic island, we can go right into Apple Music with this, go right to the album, or we could tap the album itself and go directly into Shazam. And it gives you upcoming concerts and much more. So this is a really nice update to Shazam if you want to use that. Podcast gets some nice updates as well. You may notice right away that we have what looks to be a new interface. The first thing is we have some new icons at the bottom, and we have a new Up Next section that's fully customizable. It shows us our playback here at the top. If we want to continue playing, we just tap on play. We can play directly from here. We also have the option to maybe remove this from Up Next. We can scroll through them and more. So that's a really nice update. We also have an update where we're playing the podcast back. So the interface has changed a little bit. You can see your subscriptions here and you can snooze it. You can play it at different speeds and of course AirPlay it and more. You can also connect different subscriptions together, and they've improved search quite a bit, allowing you to search for shows, episodes, and channels. So if we search for Mac Break, where we were just seeing that before, go into that. You'll see that we have shows, episodes, and channels, and under channels, you can see the entire podcast network that goes along with this, so you can find what you're looking for. So this is much improved compared to what we had before. AirPods get some major updates with iOS 17. The first one is, as you can see here, once you open your AirPods next to your iPhone, if you're in dark mode, we have a dark mode graphic now. Additionally, we have a lot of new features, but many of those are specific to AirPods Pro 2. Not even AirPods Max get many of them. So we do get a few features for the additional AirPods other than AirPods Pro 2. And specifically, if we go into our menu here, you'll see this has changed, but we have a new mute and unmute. AirPods 3 and other AirPods can benefit from this. And what it allows is if you're using your AirPods, you can now press the stem to mute and unmute a call. So we have that option. That's the major option that's available for AirPods that aren't AirPods Pro 2. With AirPods Pro 2, though, you may already notice that under noise control, we have a new option for adaptive. Adaptive audio works and allows you to listen to your environment around you, letting certain noises through that are important and others that aren't. If we scroll down, we have additional options for personalized volume, which adjusts the volume of media in response to your environment. Conversational awareness that actually dips the volume while you're talking to someone. Maybe you're speaking, it pulls the volume down. Once you stop speaking, the volume will go back up. The same is true with loud sound reduction, so it reduces loud sounds you're exposed to. We also have a new menu in the control center for the same thing. So if I place one of these in my ears, you can see how quickly it connects if we press and hold. We have noise control, we have adaptive, we also have transparency and noise cancellation. Conversational awareness is available as well. So as you're using this, it's very helpful. So maybe I'm playing a podcast here, it's playing, the volume is actually brought down low, or it actually stops it altogether if you have adaptive audio enabled. So it will stop. Once I stop speaking, it will resume playing. It also works on Apple TV. Another thing they've updated, which is pretty significant, has to do with switching between devices. Maybe you have an iPad running iPadOS 17 or macOS 14 Sonoma on a Mac. The audio switching is more seamless now. It's almost instant going between different devices. If I play a song on my Mac that's nearby, now I have my Mac nearby, I'll press play, listen to some audio. It will move immediately by itself over to the Mac. And if I go back to press play on my iPhone, it will move back. You'll see it show up right away. The switching is instant. Of course, this can be enabled or disabled, but it's super helpful if you want to just instantly switch between different devices. It's much better than it was with iOS 16. Unfortunately, only mute and unmute as well as the fast switching come to all AirPods. AirPods Pro 2 get all of the adaptive features. Apple CarPlay gets a few new updates with iOS 17. I'll plug into my CarPlay device here, give it a second to connect, and you'll see we have Apple CarPlay. If we scroll over, maybe go to our settings, under settings, go to wallpaper, we now have some new wallpaper to go along with iOS 17. We have the default iOS 17 wallpaper, and we have a few others as well. So if we scroll down, you'll see we have a few different options from black to white to sort of a titanium or gray, and blue and red. I prefer the blue, but match whatever you have in your car. There's also some updates when you're sending a message using Siri. So we'll go ahead and do that. Send a message to Zach Zolo.
What do you want to say to Zach?
This is a test message sending from iOS 17 on Apple CarPlay.
Sending. This is a test message sending from iOS 17 on Apple CarPlay.
And you can see we have a few different options to cancel, change, or send.
Okay, canceled.
We have larger buttons that help us interact better with it, and it just makes it easier overall. You can also use Siri to use Find My commands to locate others that are sharing locations with you. So if someone's sharing a location with you, you can use Find My commands to show that on the display. Additionally, if we go into music, there's a new option for SharePlay. There's a new SharePlay button in the upper right. Tap on this, it brings over a QR code or actually finds someone running iOS 17 nearby and allows you to share a playlist with them while you're driving. The passenger that's connected can actually control the music in your car. Also, you'll see some new buttons on iOS as well with this. So if we bring in the iPhone, we'll go ahead and unlock it here, go into music. When you're playing a song through CarPlay, you'll have a couple different options at the bottom for AirPlay and SharePlay. So those are two new options at the bottom that do the same thing as they do on CarPlay. FaceTime has been updated, so when you're placing a phone call, and if the person on the other end doesn't pick up, you now have the option to not only call them again, but you can record a video message that they can watch later on. So if we tap record video, it counts down and then allows you to record a video message. And as you can see, this is a video test message from a FaceTime call where it wasn't received or picked up. And then you can send this along. Just press stop and then go ahead and send the message or retake. It shows up as a notification on the other device, and you'll see I took it from the 14 Pro Max. It's showing up on the iPhone 11, and then I can just play it back in real time. So it's nice that you can just leave a message, scrub through the video, and more. Now I'm within a FaceTime call, and of course we have our typical controls where we have the option to blur the background, and we also have our stickers and more. However, now we have an option. If we press and hold, we can now react. We can also do this with a gesture, but I could maybe say thumbs up. You'll see it will come across the phone on the other one. The same thing with thumbs down. We've got some balloons. We've got some fireworks here. We also have some other laser light show. This is very similar to what we have in messages. Some confetti, some storm clouds, and then we have a little heart for love. And you can see that and react with each one of those. You can use a thumbs up gesture on the phone itself to do the exact same thing. Also, one thing that's really nice is if you're using a third-party app using video, you'll now have the same options you have with your video effects with portrait mode and more with studio light and reactions. So you can fully adjust this with different depth settings, go into studio light, adjust this as well. And we'll have this option not only in FaceTime, along with your reactions, but you'll now have the option to use that on third-party apps such as Zoom or anything else you're using. So you can blur the background or whatever you'd like to do. And if you have your contacts set up, you can use the same custom contact posters across FaceTime and everything else. So you have all the same sort of features you had before with additional gestures and more. Also, when you're in a FaceTime call and maybe you're speaking and muted, it will let you know that you're muted on the microphone. So that's something we had with FaceTime before. And there's also some new options in the control center for iOS in general. One option has to do with the Apple Watch. You can actually now ping your Apple Watch to locate it. So if I tap on this, it should ring my Apple Watch here in just a moment. And there you go. Because I tilted my wrist, it shut off, but it actually located my Apple Watch. Additionally, we have some new icons they've updated, the flashlight icon. They've just changed a couple things here and there. The overall interface, if we tap on the little ear here, is different for not only speaker, but background sounds as well. So we can access all of this directly from the control center where it's just been updated a little bit. So nice little changes here and there. You'll discover as you're using this, but it's got nice little interface updates, little icon changes, and everything else. So again, the newest one though is Ping Your Apple Watch. If you're using Apple's keychain to manage your passwords, there's some great updates here. If we go into our settings and then go down to passwords, and at the top of passwords, if we tap on the plus here, we have a new option for new shared group. We can now share a bunch of passwords with a group of friends or family members to securely share those, whether that's a video sharing app, maybe you're logging into the same account with Microsoft or something else, you can share multiple passwords with different people. We also have some new options in our password options. These are really great in that we can autofill passwords, of course, but now we can clean up automatically. So if you're using iMessage, maybe you're logging into a website and it requires two-factor authentication, it sends you a text message and it inserts that automatically. Now it can delete that message from messages altogether. So if that's something that would show up, it will delete that. It can also do the same thing within Mail, and we'll talk more about that a little bit later. Also, if you deleted a password, you can now recover it. So if we delete this password here, we'll delete it. Once we've deleted the password, we now have a recently deleted option. Go in here, go into our test password, and then we can just recover it. Going along with passwords, if we go into our settings, scroll down to privacy and security, scroll down to the bottom, we have lockdown mode. This is something we've had before that they've updated and enhanced so that it actually keeps your phone more protected if you want to use this. It's not recommended that you use this regularly, but it's been enhanced to also include Apple Watch as well. Additionally, if you're adding an event to the calendar from an app, the app can't see that information as well. So Apple's updated privacy and security and also added sensitive content warnings throughout the OS to sort of blur information you may not want to see. You can disable this if you want to, but it blurs it on everything from AirDrop to contacts, messages, video messages, and you'll see you can improve that sensitive content warning as well. If you don't want this on, you can just disable it, but it will actually detect it on the device. It's not sending this to Apple and actually blur something it might think is inappropriate. This is great for kids, and you can enable or disable this as you choose and read more about it here. Siri also gets a few enhancements with iOS 17. The first thing is you can now just say the word Siri instead of using the word Hey in front of it. So you can do that by going into settings, scroll down, go to Siri and search, and then listen for now has an option for Hey or just hey and then the word, or you could turn it off altogether. So you can have it listen for both, just one, or off in general. Also, Siri will now allow you to continue a conversation after you've actually asked a question without saying the trigger word again. So for example, Siri, what's the weather today? What's the weather tomorrow? And it continues on and on. So you can continue speaking as you choose. Just keep speaking until you're done, and then it will sort of turn off. If I ask Siri to send a message to someone, Siri, send a message to Zach Zolo. We now have the option to actually change what app we're sending from in the upper left: Messages, Telegram, WhatsApp, or any other messaging app you have installed. Additionally, Siri gains new voices. So if we go into settings, go down to Siri, it depends on your region, of course, but this can be changed if we go into language, and then we go to British. So we go to English, and then we go to the UK. Under UK, there's some new voices here. So if we go back, go to our voices, you'll see additional options here. So let me turn it up so you can hear. It's actually downloading one, but here's voice 1.
Hi, I'm Siri. Choose the voice you'd like me to use.
Voice 2.
Hi, I'm Siri. Choose the voice you'd like me to use.
Voice 3.
Hi, I'm Siri. Choose the voice you'd like me to use.
And voice 4.
Hi, I'm Siri. Choose the voice you'd like me to use.
There's also new voices for German. So if we switch to German, back under voices, again, you'll see it's downloading voice 2, but here's voice 1.
Hallo, ich bin Siri. Wähle die Stimme aus, mit der ich sprechen soll.
Voice 2.
Hallo, ich bin Siri. Wähle die Stimme aus, mit der ich sprechen soll.
Voice 3.
Hallo, ich bin Siri. Wähle die Stimme aus, mit der ich sprechen soll.
And voice 4.
Hallo, ich bin Siri. Wähle die Stimme aus, mit der ich sprechen soll.
And in the settings, we now have an option for call hang up. We can have Siri hang up a call as well. This really helps with accessibility, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Additionally, users will be able to ask queries to Siri by mixing English with select Indic languages. So we'll have that option, including Hindi, Telugu, Punjabi, Kannada, and Marathi. So hopefully I said those correctly, but you can mix those together as you speak. Spotlight search gets some updates as well. If we go into Spotlight and maybe search for the Apple Store near here, go into it, we've got a nice contact card that's similar to what we have with Maps, but if we go back and maybe search for the same thing, we'll search for Apple stores. It gives us information about all of the ones nearby, but also different files throughout the OS that actually contain that word. If we scroll down, we could see photos, videos, and more that actually contain those words. So there's updated contact cards. So maybe if we search for museums, we'll see better visuals here as well. So directions to different ones, better updated contact cards, and much, much more. Also, if we search for an app, maybe the camera, you'll see here that we actually have quick shortcuts that show up for video, selfie, and photo. Additionally, we have shortcuts that show up, and maybe if we search for Wi-Fi, we actually have not only apps that we can go directly into, but also set Wi-Fi for the shortcuts, and maybe we search for True Tone. We actually have a switch here for different settings throughout the OS. We can turn that on or off. So you'll see this throughout the OS as you're using Spotlight Search to enable or disable not only shortcuts, but different toggles for apps and much, much more. The camera gets updated with some really nice updates. If we're in a photo, we now have a level that shows up. So it's just a line here. It's kind of hard to see, but there's a line. As you tilt, it shows up, and then as you get centered, it sort of locks into place, gives you haptic feedback, and then disappears. We also have a new option in the upper left. You'll see HEIF, or different formatting. So if we press and hold on that, we've got some new options that have been announced with iPhone 15, but also come to certain phones. So you'll see we have RAW Max, RAW 12, that's 12 megapixels, HEIF Max, and then we have this one as well. So we can switch between any of these that we choose. Also, if we go back out, and then we go into settings, scroll down to camera. Within our camera settings, we have some new options. So under formats, If we scroll down here under Pro Default, we have those same different options I showed you before that you can press and hold in the camera menu. So I'm glad they've allowed us to access it that way. Additionally, we also have updates with things such as when you're recording video, you can now actually lock the white balance of the camera. This is something that's super helpful. It won't change the white balance after you press record. Also, if we go back and maybe we go to our settings for preserving settings, there's a new option for depth control. So you can preserve the depth settings rather than automatically have them reset every time. At the iPhone 15 event, when Apple introduced the phone, they said we could change the actual focus of maybe a portrait we've taken after we've taken the photo. If we go into portrait, we're actually seeing that on some older phones as well. So here's a portrait I took of myself. You'll see we have the option to turn it on and off. And if it recognizes it as a portrait, we can go into edit and then change where it's focused at. If I tap the background, it focuses there. We can change the blur here, tap on my face, and it puts that in focus. So this is something that's really great that we're getting on other phones as well. Also, if we cancel this and then go back to video, we have a new option here where we can actually see if we're in ProRes SDR or ProRes HDR. So it's great that we have this option where we can actually see that here. So just to make sure we're not using HDR if we don't want it. Along with camera, Photos get some nice updates. If we scroll down, the People album now is better at recognizing people and includes cat and dog recognition. Also, unnamed people can be viewed in the photo album as well. Now, if we go into our iOS 17 changes update here, the first thing is if you press and hold using the remove from background feature, just let go or press and hold again, you can tap on look up, and this will give you the same sort of results as you would get if you tapped and pressed on it. And you may be noticing here where we actually have recipes for a donut that I have a photo of. It actually recognizes food now. So if you take a picture at a dinner, whether that's chicken parmesan, maybe steak, maybe a vegetarian meal, anything, it will recognize it and then give you regular updates as far as different recipes that you can do. And maybe you want to make something that's similar. There's a bunch of different options to choose from, as well as images that it recognizes as well. Additionally, if we go back to the album, you'll see that it actually recognizes with visual lookup quite a few new things. This is a different tag from a piece of clothing, and if we tap on it here, you'll see that we actually have a little star on the eye icon. Tap on this, and it says look up laundry care. If we tap on laundry care, it identifies those symbols and tells you more about them. You can tap on them to see more, so it actually shows you what those symbols mean. The same is true if we go over and maybe you're in a car, and this is just turning on my car initially where it lights up everything, so we could get an idea what it is, but it says look up auto symbol. Auto symbol, it shows you all of the different symbols, so maybe there's something there you're not familiar with. It will give you information about it, everything from a check engine light to a parking brake and more. Again, if we go to the next photo, it now identifies birds and different pets. So you'll see here we have the eye icon here again, and it says Eastern Yellow Robin. So the same sort of identification we've had just gets better. Again, if we go to the next one, here's a cat, and it actually shows a cat icon. If it identifies different pets, it will show that as well. So it shows maybe a bird or a cat. You'll see it shows a little bird there, shows a cat, and then it switches to eye for information. Again, if we tap on it, it looks up the cat and we see more information. Again, the same thing is true for a dog as well. So we've got a lot of different updates as far as visual lookup. And also, if you have a live photo like this one where it says live in the upper left, if we tap on the photo, we can scrub through the live photo. So we go back and forth and we can now scrub through it just like it's a video. And if we go to the next photo, you'll see this is an album I took a screenshot from directly in music. You can actually identify music as well with this. So tap on the eye icon, look up album, and it recognizes not only the album, you can play it in Apple Music. It tells you there's 13 songs and tells you more about the artist, in this case, Lindsey Stirling. So we have the album Artemis, Lindsey Stirling. So lots of different things as far as visual lookup and live photos. Within another photo, if we tap on Edit, Apple has updated the Edit menu to clarify some of the different things that we have here. We have descriptors under each one of the icons where it says Portrait, Adjust, Filters, and Crop. We also have the option, since this is a portrait mode photo, to change where it's focused, or just cancel the edits altogether, of course. We also have an option under Edit if we use the Markup tool. Under Markup, if we maybe add a shape, so maybe we'll add a rounded square, double tap in that square or any shape that you add, and you can quickly add text to it. So they've added a few little convenience features to make things a little quicker. Now under the overexposed photo, if we tap on share, we can scroll down and we can export an unmodified original. So if we want to export it without any changes, we can do that. We also have some options here at the top where we can change some of the formatting to the most compatible or current, or all photo data can be sent with it. You have some more options here if you want to send it differently. If we were to delete this photo, tap on delete and go to our deleted photos album. Under recently deleted, if we go into the photo that we deleted, we have a new updated menu that shows us recover or delete. It's just been updated again to clarify what we're actually doing. Additionally, we have some updates if maybe we took a screenshot. So if we take a screenshot of maybe the Apple web page, and we'll tap on the screenshot, we can do full page, then we can actually share this, and once we share it, we can actually save to files, of course, just like before, but we can also save this as a PDF. So we'll tap on option, go down to PDF document. So we can save it as a PDF instead of just an image, and then use that and maybe mark this up in some other app. Tap done, and then again, you could do this way as well, where we could save to PDF files here or save to photos. So super simple, or just delete it altogether. If we go back to our main photo menu, tap on For You, where we have automatically created memories, tap on a memory, tap on it again. There's an icon in the bottom right that allows us to now rearrange the photos, or we can add or remove them. Press and hold on a photo, move it around however you'd like within the memories. So you can do that, and you'll find that you can do that throughout different albums as well now in Photos. If we want to change or add to these photos, tap the three dots in the upper right, and we can manage the photos. Within Manage, we can now search for whatever we'd like, and search has been greatly updated so that we can get more specific about what we're looking for. So if I look for maybe red, and then, well, we'll try car and then red. So car, then we'll go to red, and we'll see what it finds. So it found the front of a Tesla Model S. So that gives you an idea of what it's finding, and you can search for places or people or whatever you're looking for, and it will help you locate that. If we're searching for videos and then maybe the word iOS 16.6, it actually identifies specifically where it is in that video. So you'll see it shows 16.6 once I pause it, and shows me exactly where that is. I can select the text, jump through this, and scrub through it like a normal video, but it actually identifies what I'm searching for just like it would if it was a photo. So this is something that's been upgraded and is super helpful. Live text now supports more languages as well when you're searching photos, with Thai, Turkish, Dutch, Russian, and more that Apple hasn't specifically mentioned. So lots of updates here. If you're using Photos, this should be super helpful if you're looking for something. Within specific apps, Apple has really limited what apps can see as far as your photos. Tap on maybe adding a photo, and you'll only see the ones you may have added before. If you want to add additional photos, tap on the plus, and you'll see here that it says limited access to your library. X can only access the items that you select. The app can add to your library even if no items are selected. So if we want to add this photo, tap on done, it adds to the library. Now we can add it to the app. So this is something you can modify and manage, as you see here, depending on the overall app. With Photos, you can give it limited access and it will ask every time, or you can give it full access to your photo library. So it's a super helpful update that really limits apps in what they can see. So that's helpful for things like Instagram, Facebook, and more. If we go into the Shortcuts app, go down to Gallery, there's a ton of different examples here for shortcuts overall. So lots of extra things where you can get things done, lots of examples here. And if we go into Shortcuts itself, add an action, the overall interface has been updated. So we have all actions, and then we have examples here for things such as books or camera or clock with different icons and much more. The same is true with apps. Of course, we could go in and maybe go to calculator, add different shortcuts for that as well. There's also a couple different options here that we haven't seen before. So if we want to search for something, we can search for cellular. And you'll find this throughout. I won't go over every single one, but we have reset cellular data statistics. We also have additional options for things such as AirPods. So we can set the noise control mode from transparency to maybe noise cancellation. And you can also add app shortcuts alongside other system features. So we have additional triggers for things such as wallet, external displays, and stage manager. Lots of other things depending on the device you're using, of course, as well. If we scroll down and go to focus modes, go into a focus mode, and then tap on options, we have a new option to silence notifications always or when locked. So this is really convenient if you want it just when it's locked, but not always silence. They've finally added this option. Within Apple Maps, if we press and hold on an area, we have a new option to download. We can now download offline maps. So maybe we just want it to load faster, or we don't have a good internet connection where we're going. You can zoom out. Maybe we'll use the whole city of Charlotte here, and then it'll tell you the overall size of the selected map area, and then you can just tap download. It will save to your downloaded maps. So it's actually downloading now, and you can see it actually update in real time. So super convenient. You can do that all throughout the US or around the world. So if I want to go over here, maybe we'll go down to New Orleans, and you'll see again, download, and it's giving you the option to download that map. Apple has also added EV charging maps. So if we take a look here, and this is Electrify America in Charlotte, North Carolina, it's telling you the available chargers such as CHAdeMO, CCS1, and their actual speed. It tells you how many there are if it has that information. If you have a car that this integrates with, such as a Porsche Taycan, it'll actually give you information as to your destination, what your charge status is, and more. So they've added all of this information, and I'm sure this will grow over the years. If we go into the App Store, and maybe we scroll down, we want to install an app, tap on the download button, and if we go into the app, it will actually update us with the information as to how long it's going to take to install. So based on your internet connection, and mine right now says 2 minutes and 19 seconds. So it's installing and just letting us know how long. iMessage or Messages gets some significant updates in iOS 17. If we go into it, you'll see it looks pretty familiar right now, but if we tap on Messages, it has a different interface. Now, before we talk about that, MMS group messages now support more features that we got with iOS 16, such as tapbacks, effects, edit replies, and more. So that will work across MMS group messages now, but the interface here has been updated. You'll see we have a plus to the left of the messages box. This removes all of the different message applications and everything we had before. Tap on the plus and it brings up all of the new features. So we have our camera, Apple Cash, location, check-in, and more. And if we scroll down, we can see all of our other apps. This can be further customized in settings. If we go into settings, go into messages, under messages, we have iMessage apps. Here we can remove any of those we don't want. So maybe we don't want certain apps within those messages. We can turn them off, turn them on, whatever we'd like. You can turn off so it doesn't show altogether. So if we go back into messages, go back in here, scroll down, you'll see there's significantly less apps this time around. So you can customize it however you'd like. And one of the new features here you can see is location. If we go to location, you can quickly share your location with someone, and not just share it this way, but also on the other phone. If you're sharing your location, you'll see that it actually tells where they're at the top near their name. So it's giving you more information about that. Additionally, there's a new feature called check-in. If you go into check-in lets you check in with someone else and lets them know that you've arrived somewhere or when you'll be back. So if you tap continue, it says iPhone will keep up with your progress, and you can give limited or full access for check-in. Check-in lets them know where you're at, and then we'll tap continue. And then they'll be notified, you'll see here with the splash screen, once you arrive at your destination, you're delayed and don't respond to a prompt, your iPhone's offline, and then we'll send a check-in. Additionally, in your message settings, you can change whether you want full or limited access later on for check-in data. So you can modify that as you choose. And within message search, just like we have in photos search, we can now get more granular and more specific. So you can search for an individual with messages with different wording, links, photos, or location. And you can add to those and continue to search and get more and more specific. Voice dictation has been updated with an improved speech recognition model on certain iPhones. And if we press and now we've activated voice dictation, you saw maybe there was a little microphone there. The interface has changed. And if I switch it to light mode, it's easier to see this, but the interface itself actually has a little blue glow behind it. So you'll see that. And when I stop speaking, you'll see the microphone appear again. It lets you know that it's still active. Also, they've updated the voice app itself. So let me go ahead and delete this. If we go into the audio app, it has a new interface and it's recording what we're saying and transcribing it in real time. So once we send it, it will actually show what I actually said so that they don't have to listen to it, but can just instead read it if they'd rather do that. We can press and hold here and save it to voice memos if we want with a new interface, but once it sends, it actually will show on the other device and delete from this device. So you'll see it here where it shows up and it actually has the voice transcription there. Super helpful and something I use all the time now. Also, if we're playing back that message, we have speed options. Press and hold on the play button, and we can play it back up to 2 times speed. Back in our apps, if we go to stickers, this has been updated as well. So you'll see first we opened up and we have our emoji. We also have our regular stickers, which we can create on our own. I'll show you that in a moment. But we can now press and hold on an emoji and then drag it to wherever we want to react to something. This works with any emoji throughout the OS, and we also have live animated stickers as well if you want those. So we can create them by pressing the plus button. If I want to create one of this donut, I can do that. You'll see it outlines everything. We can add the sticker. Now it's added to our messages, and we can add an effect as well. So maybe we want it to look like a comic donut, or we have some other options with shiny. We can outline it, and we'll leave it as comic and tap done. So now we can just drag and drop that wherever we'd like and put it on a different message, but you do have to drag it onto a message itself. So that's something they've updated in iOS 17. Also, if they're live photos, they'll animate as well. Apple Cash gets updated as well. You can set up recurring payments if you want to do that. You can set that up with your wallet, but send them through iMessage. And also, if you have multiple SIM cards installed, this will be very helpful as you can now sort your messages by SIM card, reply based on specific SIM cards, and when you send a message, it's easier to send based on the SIM card you're using. I only have one, but you'll be able to do that now. Also in messages, something that's very helpful is just a new slide to reply option. So we can just say hello and send. We can reply to any message just by sliding quickly and then replying. We no longer have to press and hold. The keyboard gets an upgrade as well this year. Autocorrect gets updated to be more accurate using a new transformer language model on supported devices, and words are temporarily underlined so you can see what changes and then tap to revert it. So if I say I'm going to the Apple Store, you'll see it's predicting the text. We tap space and jump to the end. If I misspell Apple and then tap space, go back, I can revert quickly tapping the little arrow and go back to the spelling I had before. Small little changes that can be very helpful. Also, when you select text, it's easier to view as the overall magnifier is larger. So much easier to view this time around compared to what we had before. That's a much welcome change for many people. If you use the Quick Path keyboard, this has been updated to support more languages. So if we swipe to say, hi, how are you today? You can use the same sort of thing if you have Arabic, Hebrew, Korean, Polish, and Romanian keyboards, as that has been added. Multilingual typing is now supported for Polish, Romanian, and Turkish keyboards. There's also new keyboard layouts available for many other languages, as well as new transliteration keyboard languages. Additionally, they've added Japanese handwriting keyboards that will recognize characters and convert them to text. So lots of big updates with the keyboard. Mail gets just a couple updates, and one of those has to do with inserting different information. So if we press and hold, we can add a link or maybe modify a link altogether with a URL. So it allows you to actually modify and edit this in line. Additionally, it recognizes travel-related messages such as hotels, flight confirmations, and they'll appear at the top of your search list if you're looking for those things. Additionally, as I mentioned before, verification codes that come in via email or messages can be recognized and cleared up automatically. Now there's some settings updates as well, and if we go into settings and go to general, and then we go down to iPhone storage, this has been updated with a visual overhaul. Storage now shows you more information. We'll wait for it to load, and as you'll see here, we have the option to sort by size, name, or last used date. It will also group specific applications together. So if we go to show all, sometimes it will group applications from companies like Microsoft and others, but you can see more specific information as far as what it's using, delete the data, and more. If we go back and then we go up to our name at the top and tap on it, and under Apple ID, we have personal information, sign-in and security, payment and shipping, and subscriptions, with new icons and a new layout as well. If we go to iCloud, we have some updates here where it looks a little different, and we also have recommended for you. Under recommended for you, it tells you how you can free up storage storage, get to know iCloud, and if you've completed them, they put them at the bottom. Also down under Hide My Email, you can use this not only for mail now, but also with Apple Wallet. So it will hide your email if you'd like to. Back under Apple ID, if we go into Sign In and Security, two-factor authentication gets its own menu. We have account recovery, legacy contacts, and more, but if we go into two-factor authentication, it gives you security information, allows you to set up security keys, and get a verification code. So really nice updates, pushing security more and more. Weather gets some new updates, and if we go into Settings and then go down to Weather, under Weather we have temperature units that now offer Celsius, Fahrenheit, or mirror whatever your system settings are. So you can use system settings. If we go into weather itself, there's some updates here where there's better hour-to-hour forecast for precipitation, so we can go in and scroll through. We'll see better forecast for that. Your daily forecast, and then you can see more information here where we have all sorts of different things such as UV index, wind, precipitation, if we want to see that, and see when it's expected and where. We have much more information about this. Weather also gains a bunch of new animations as well. If it's raining, you'll see it actually start to rain here. Let's see if it's raining on anything I have here. And I don't really see any rain conditions here, but if it is, they'll drip down across different menus. You'll actually see that in real time, and it just has some really great looks to it overall. Additionally, if we scroll down, you'll see that we have some different information. So precipitation, of course, we've got our UV index, we have wind information, and then if we keep going, we have information about the moon as well. So this has been overhauled with a lot more information this time around. Also, if we go into our weather, tap on it and swipe back, we can see the previous day information, whether it rained or anything else. If you have an AirTag selected and you scroll up, you can actually share an AirTag with someone else now. You can add a person to share this with. Maybe you're on a trip together, or maybe you just want to share some luggage or something else. You can add that person and allow them to share it with you. If we go into Safari, this has been updated with some nice features as well. If we tap on the option to go and see all of our tabs, we can now have up to 500 tabs open at once. If you go over 500, it will prompt you to close them. Also, if we press and hold, we can copy the links within our tabs themselves. Additionally, though, you may see this new icon here at the bottom. If we tap on this, we now have profiles for Safari. Tap on it and we can switch between whatever we like, personal, work, or home. And this is also customizable in settings. If we go into settings, go down to Safari. Within Safari, if we scroll down, you'll see your profiles here where we have personal, work, home, or new profile. You can create as many as you'd like. And if we go into one, we can customize it with maybe a different icon. We'll change that blue. And if we go back into Safari, you'll see that that's been changed already. And each one of these can have their own set of extensions and everything else. So if we go into this one, tap on our options here, and then go to Manage Extensions, the extensions we have here won't necessarily appear in other work groups as well, or profiles. So you can customize this completely based on what you want. Have one completely different for work, one for home, one while you're on vacation, or something else. Also, there's a new private mode where if you go into privacy, it can lock by itself. And also you can select a specific search engine for when you're in that privacy mode. If we go to settings, go back to those same Safari settings, scroll up, you'll see search engine and then private search engine. So you can customize this based on what you like when you're in a specific mode. Safari will also now let you listen to maybe an article if you're on a web page. Tap on the dots here or the options, and you have the option for listen to page. So maybe if we go to macrumors.com, here go into their top article with a weekly recap, tap on the option here, and you can listen to the page. It will actually play this back. If you have headphones or anything else, you'll see it playing back in your control center, just like you have with audio controls. So super nice. It also goes along with accessibility that we'll talk about in a moment. Search has been updated. Not only is it faster, but it gives better information such as the weather. If you're searching for the weather, it uses the app information, or maybe if you're searching for an Apple store, it's super fast with updated information that just looks better than it used to. Also, if we go back to settings, under our Safari settings, if we scroll down, we have clear history and website data. This has been updated with a new look, and it has information like we have on Safari on Mac as well, with different profiles where you can clear it for one profile or all of them, close all your tabs when you clear it, and just update it based on all history, today and yesterday, today or last hour. Additionally, if you use experimental features, they've renamed that menu. So go into Safari, scroll down, go to Advanced, It's now called feature flags. So it's no longer experimental features, it's just called feature flags. Also within Safari settings, we have a dedicated location option. So under location, we can tell it location access on specific websites. We can have it ask, deny, or we can edit and then clear all settings if we'd like. Accessibility gets some big updates this time around. So if we go into settings and then accessibility, first thing is if we go into display and text size, we have a new option for prefer horizontal text. It says prefer horizontal text in languages that support vertical text. So you can enable that, and it might help you out if you want to just keep this in one orientation. We have a new option called personalized voice. So if we scroll down, you'll see under speech, there's a new option for personalized voice. This allows you to create a personal voice and takes about 150 phrases and then creates a voice that sounds like you. You can sync this across different devices, export it, or delete it altogether. And it takes some time to do, so someone can't just replicate this easily. You can share it across all of your devices and allow apps to request to actually use it. And you can enable this just by simply tapping back and texting someone so it can take place of your voice if maybe you're having a hard time speaking. I have it set up, so if I triple click the power sleep wake button, you'll see here that I have live speech. And under live speech, I can type to speak. But under phrases, you'll see it says, "Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zolotech." So let me turn this on. It's using my personalized voice.
Hi everyone, Aaron here for Zolotech. Today we're going to take a look at all of the changes with accessibility in iOS 17.
So you can redo this if you don't like the way it sounds, but you can just type and message someone as you're speaking so that you can reply to them back and forth. We also have a new option called Assistive Access. Assistive Access is a new option that allows for a completely different look to the OS to help press specific things. So it gives a few layouts here where you have rows and grids, and then you can select different apps that you want to be able to use with it. So if we go to Manage Apps, we can add a bunch of them, and let me show you what this actually looks like. So if we start this, we'll start Assistive Access. We have to enter a passcode. So we'll put 1234, and it will enter Assistive Access and have an all new look. This works on iOS and iPadOS. Give it a moment to reboot here a little bit, and then we'll see the larger icons. So it says triple click to exit Assistive Access, and now you'll see we have all new large icons to make it easier to press. If I go into music, we can set up specific albums, scroll like we normally could, go into a song, play a song directly here, and we have large buttons so that if we want to go directly into something, we can go into the camera, take a photo, and it just makes it easier to press if you need that extra size to maybe press on something, or you're just learning something altogether. If we triple click and exit, give it a moment, you'll see here we have settings, emergency, and exit Assistive Access. Put in the passcode again. Give it a second and it will exit Assistive Access. One other thing I wanted to show you is live speech works along with personalized voice, but if you want to use a different voice, you can. There's a ton of different options here. So if you want to use a voice that you like or sounds similar to yours, you can see here it will play a phrase.
Hello, my name is Tom. I am an American English voice.
We'll play this one.
Hello, my name is Tom. I am an American English.
So you have all of those options along with your own. There's a new feature called Point and Speak that's been updated within Magnifier for accessibility. If we go into Magnifier and we go into our settings, we need to enable it if it's not already. Make sure you have detection mode turned on. If you have detection mode turned on, scroll over and you'll have this detection mode button. However, for this new feature, you'll also need a phone that's equipped with a LiDAR sensor, so a 12 Pro or newer, so that it can actually see what you're looking at. If I turn this on, we have an option here where we have what's called Point and Speak. It will recognize what we're looking at. So not only distance like we had before, but if I bring in an Apple keyboard here, you'll just see the edge of it, but I'll bring in the keyboard.
Hand detected.
It detects my hand, and then if I move it, you'll see it will. It recognizes when I move it, and it's a little bit hard to use and takes some practice, but lets you know what you're pointing at. So let me move this out of the way.
Page down. Hand too close.
And you'll see here's an iPhone case.
Fine woven case.
So it recognizes what I'm pointing at and then can describe it to me. Apple actually showed them using a microwave, pointing at some of the numbers, and it recognized that. So this is a great update. If you need to use that, it's now available. It does make the phone quite warm as it seems to be pretty processor intensive as well. Now also there's a new option for voice control, and voice control has been updated to give you more information about it. So if you're using voice control, there's now a voice control guide to help you understand how to use it. So you can learn how to control voice control. You've got different information about it, introduction to dictation, text editing, and navigation. So they've added this as a guide so you can use it a little bit better. Siri also gets an update within this option here as well. So if we go into Siri, we now have the option for speaking rate, but also we can go from 0.8x to 2 times for the speaking rate. So we can speed this way up if we want for a speaking rate to 200% or 2 times. To go along with that, under spoken content, we have the option to speed up or slow down the speaking rate of built-in iOS voices. So we can just adjust that up or down. Also, we have an option within motion to disable auto-playing of animated images, such as GIFs, for example, on the web. So if you want to turn that off, it will not autoplay, or you can pause that when you're using it. Additionally, we have virtual game controllers under switch control. So if you want to use that, we can set up a switch to act as a virtual game controller throughout the OS. So maybe instead of using an actual game controller, you can use sound action, head movements, or back taps to turn it into a virtual game controller. So that's something they allow you to do within this update as well. And then of course you can save all of your gestures, confirm, and more. You have all the regular switch controls, but now you can use any of them as a game controller. Additionally, Apple didn't mention it specifically, but there's some new authentication methods that work with AirPods if you're using accessibility. Thanks to a channel friend, Colin Hughes, he let me know about this. Using accessibility with AirPods, there's a new Siri authentication system where if your device is unlocked while you're wearing your AirPods, it will be considered authenticated as long as they're in range or until you actually change the output audio device on the system itself. You can still access your messages, calendar, events, and more. And also, as you're stringing together Siri commands, you can actually tell it to stop and change while it's sending a message. So some very helpful things there. And of course, you can ask Siri to read web pages and more, just like I showed you before with Safari features, where it can read back articles. Some really great accessibility features this time around. Now, Reminders gets some updates, and within Reminders, if we go in here, within Reminders, if you're using it for a grocery list, it will automatically sort those items into categories to make it easier. And also there's some new early reminders options. So under your reminder, you've got early reminder, 1 day before to 6 months before, or custom. Additionally, if we go back to the main view, you'll see that we have Siri suggestions. It will suggest things that it thinks you might need to do again. However, this doesn't seem to be super accurate, but it has an option there. And additionally, there's new column views, and also you have the option for a new 2-hour option for reminders. Not a lot of huge updates here, but a few nice ones with maybe some sort options and more. Additionally, in Notes, there's some updates, and within Notes, under the markup tool, we have a crayon and a couple different pen options now. Additionally, there's a lot of new PDF options. I'll show more about that in my iPadOS 17 video, but basically we could edit PDFs before, and now we have things such as enhanced autofill for PDFs as well, when you're maybe filling one out. You can also open a PDF within Pages from the Share menu. So if you have one here and you want to share it to maybe Pages, you can do that. You've got your collaboration menu here. And additionally, we've got new block quote formatting, making it easier to visually offset a section of writing with a quote bar, or we have mono-styled text. Very minor updates in Notes. Within Clock, we have some updates. So if we go into the Clock, and within the Clock app, if we go to Timers, we can now set multiple timers at once. So if I want to set a few of them, we've got them running, and we can see them as live activities. Tap on them, and we can see our multiple timers. They're finally allowing this. We can also rename the timer. If you want to name one within the Clock app, we have that option. So if you want to label one, you can label it New Timer. Hit Done, hit Start, and now it says New Timer. So some small updates, but something that it seems like we should have had a long time ago. Also, if you're using Home, they've updated that. And within Home, it looks pretty familiar here. But if we scroll over, we have a new option for energy or grid forecast. This allows you to see when you're actually using green energy or not. So if you want to see that for your area, it will let you know all about that. Additionally, if you have locks and things like that, you'll actually have a history of when things were unlocked or locked. So I don't really have a whole lot of that, but you'll see history for that. And if you have locks where people are coming and going and you want to see who it is, you can now see that. Also, if we go into a light here, so we'll go down, maybe press and hold on this light. We'll go to it this way. This has a new interface where we can select colors and more. So some really nice simple updates. This is just a LifeX light, but it works really well. Also, there's updated support for Matter-based locks as well, where they can easily be controlled with an iPhone if you have them. I currently don't have any of those, but if you do, you'll have better control of that. Family sharing gets an update that goes along with health to help children have a lesser risk of myopia. It makes sure they get enough sunlight and also that the device is not too close to your face. Of course, you can disable or enable any of these options, but if we go under settings, go down to screen time, under screen distance, we have the option to turn this on or off. It says to reduce eye strain and the risk of myopia in children, screen distance will alert you to hold an iPhone or iPad with Face ID at a recommended distance. So if I hold this really close to my face for a long time, it will actually recommend that I take it away from my face. It will give me a warning. You don't have to have this on. You can turn it off if you'd like. Additionally, under your family settings, there's improved screen time options. So it has better parental control summaries and more options. So we have that screen distance I just mentioned, but also app and web activities so we can enter a passcode or see communication limits and much more. We also have the option to share an iCloud Drive folder as well as share even an allowance with Apple Cash. You can set up Apple Cash for someone so that they can actually share this if they're under 18 years old, and you can give them a regular allowance. And under your family settings, there's even an updated family checklist with more information, more suggestions. Within the Health app, we have an update with mental well-being as the focus. Mental health and vision as well to let you know how often your child is outside if you're using that. But under Browse, if we go to mental well-being, this is a new section where we have an option to maybe put in your state of mind. So if we go into state of mind, we can log how we're feeling, log an emotion or mood if we want to track that. We tap on next, and then it lets us put this in with a slider. Choose how you're feeling right now, neutral, very pleasant, all the way to very unpleasant. Tap next, and then it says what best describes this feeling. So we can put in joyful, confident, hopeful. Tap next, and it says what's having the impact on your feeling. So self-care, fitness, community, things like that. Add additional text and tap done. Then you can log this over time to see what your moods were like. It will use Apple Watch data and try and give you more information as far as that goes. It also shows you 30 days in the past as far as that. We have a little calendar here, and it will show your mood as you've logged it. So you'll see I've been using this just a little bit, trying it out, and it shows it for each day. Also with medications, where Apple added that in iOS 16, if we scroll down, you'll see an option where it says under options for follow-up reminders. It says health can send follow-up reminders if you haven't logged a medication 30 minutes after the initial notification. So if you want to enable that, you can do that. There's also a new option for physical effort in here as well. So lots of different things with body measurement and much more. Now, fitness gets some updates as well, specifically if you're using Apple Fitness Plus. But if we go into fitness, give it a moment to load here. On the main screen, if you scroll down under awards, this has been updated where we have an all new sort of awards shelf that's been updated. And we also have weekly trainer tips. So if you're using Fitness Plus, you can see different trainer tips here. You also have the option for custom plans and workouts. You can schedule it weekly, add an activity type, and even stack workouts one on the other if you want to do multiples back to back. If you're using the Freeform app, this will probably be more helpful if you're using an iPad, but there's a bunch of new drawing tools. So if we go into our markup tool, we have the same sort of drawing tools we have with notes, with the crayon and more. We also have a variable with pen, highlighter, calligraphy pen, as I showed you here, and a ruler as well if you want to use that. Additionally, you can now build diagrams more easily by dragging connector handles to connected objects. So if you have objects you're connecting from one to the other, you could do that. And you'll see here, connected object right here, and show connectors. So you can connect a bunch of things here, drag a connector to create a connection line, or hold to connect to a duplicate object. So if you want to create a connector to something, you can do that. And then we'll put a little circle, and now it's connected. So that's been updated. You can also collaborate and guide others around your board, so they can now actually watch what you're doing. So if you're collaborating with someone, they can see you move the board as you're moving it on your screen. And also if you're using PDFs in Freeform, you can now fill them out just like you can in Notes, and you can embed 3D objects in Freeform too. So nice little updates, but things that should be helpful if you're using this regularly. Additionally, stocks get some small updates. Within stocks, if we go into a stock, you can see how much it's changed over time now. So you can see the actual percentage it's changed. Also, with the news that we have here on the bottom, they've added this to a couple different widgets. So if you want to actually see the news, you can see it in the widget for the stock. Additionally, in the News app, they've updated this so you can use crossword puzzles now, where it says Introducing Puzzles. So the first time you open this, your Apple News Plus subscription now includes daily puzzles. So if you want to use those, you can now start playing, and they're available directly in the News app with crossword puzzles or Crossword Mini. Wallet gets a couple nice updates. I mentioned one before, and if we go into the menu at the top, we can set up scheduled payments now. Scheduled payments allow us to set them up to maybe use this as our regular bill paying account, so make payments automatically on a monthly or custom schedule. So you can use your card to do that if you'd like to. Also, businesses and organizations can use the ID verifier to accept mobile IDs with no additional hardware needed. And also, if you're a business and you want to provision multiple devices, you can do that if you're adding eligible payment cards to your phone. So you can add it to multiple devices at once. There's also enhanced order tracking. Now, I've yet to see this work, but if we cancel this, in the main screen, we should be able to actually track our orders here with participating merchants. This is supposedly going to be enhanced with iOS 17. However, I haven't seen anyone use it yet. I would love to be able to track orders from here. Also, we can transfer funds with Apple Pay, easily and securely move funds from a stored value account to an eligible card in Apple Pay. So lots of little changes, but they should be nice to use regularly. Books gets an update. If we go into Books, there's a new shelf to show you different series. So this is best-selling series. And additionally, in search, you can search by a series or specific genre now. Books now personalize top picks based on your favorite books in your Now Reading tab. And also, if you copy and paste from a book, it will actually source the information automatically. So if we go into Reading, go into this one, give it a second to load. Let me just copy and paste something here. We'll copy. And then if we go over maybe to Notes, we'll paste this in here. Let's paste, and it will actually cite it automatically. So it has the excerpt from iPhone User Guide, iOS 12.3. So it does that automatically in iOS 17. The Translate app also gets some nice updates. It has sort of a redesign overall, where you have a redesigned language picker, and we also have an updated language of Ukrainian that's been added. The overall conversation view is a little bit new as well. So we have conversation here if you're translating back and forth with someone else, and live translations work in the camera tab without needing to pause the view. So if you're using camera to translate something, you won't have to pause it to translate that information anymore. Also, streaming text, so real-time translations as you enter it in, will actually give you the information in real time also. Also, if you've translated something, so hello, how are you today? You'll see it translate here, and then we can quickly copy and paste that into something else with the translation. They've also updated the dictionary as well. So if we go into Settings, and then we go down to General, under General, we have Dictionary. There's additional dictionaries here for quite a few things: Bulgarian, Catalan, English Greek, English Malay, English Swedish, Greek, Malay, Polish, Punjabi, and Romanian. All of those have been added. The Journal app that Apple talked about for iOS 17 will come with a later update, with iOS 17.1 or 17.2 later this year. So that's everything in iOS 17 as far as the major features, changes, and updates. Of course, there's little changes here and there with things such as icon changes, little things you may discover as you use it a little bit more, but I didn't want to include every tiny little thing, as I thought some of those you might want to see yourself. Now, if there's anything major that you think you found that I didn't mention, please be sure to mention that in the comments below. And of course, the new journaling app and some new features are coming a little bit later with iOS 17.1 and more. If you'd like to get your hands on this wallpaper, of course, I'll link it in the description like I normally do. And if you haven't subscribed already, please subscribe. And if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.